Live from WRAL News Headquarters in Raleigh, your number one source for local news. WRAL News, coverage you can count on.
A couple of showers from overnight, mostly dissipating, but there's more rain on the way later today. I'll show you when it will arrive where you are.
And road rage suspect in court. The man accused in a shooting that left a 5-year-old hurt is due to face a judge today. We list out the charges and get an update on the girl's condition from her family.
Holiday travel. Today's expected to be one of the busiest days on the road for 4th of July travel. What you need to know about traffic before you get in the car. Yeah, gas prices are going your way. Hopefully it'll be smooth travels for you and safe as well. We're glad you're with us on this Wednesday. I'm Jeff Hogan.
And I'm Renee Chu. I have a feeling we have some more early risers today than normal, just because of the jump start to the holiday weekend. Already seeing the volume of traffic really pick up on the traffic cameras. But if you are heading out, you could run into some light rain, especially around the noon hour, Elizabeth.
It does look like the rain's really going to pick up closer to lunchtime and last through the middle of the afternoon, maybe even late afternoon. By the time we get to the evening commute, it looks like it'll be mostly drying out. Not much to see out there right now. We'll zoom in here over Hillsborough. Just a quick little shower moved through, and then we'll move it up to the north slightly. A little bit of rain moving into Person County and headed back toward Mecklenburg County, Virginia. This is our next weather maker. This cold front sliding through is going to bring us a better chance for rain a little later in the day. You can see it's 50% chance by 11, and then by 4 o'clock it's back down to a 50% chance, with the bulk of it happening around or just after lunchtime. The sky is beautiful right behind the station right now. Just a few holes in those clouds, but we know those clouds will thicken up as that cold front gets closer to us. 76 the temperature right now with a dew point of 71, so it's a warm, sticky start, but we'll only add about 10 degrees to our temperature this afternoon. We'll climb only into the mid-80s. I'll show you when the 90s are back coming up. Michelle?
All right, thanks, Elizabeth. Michelle McConaughey in for Ken Smith this morning. Good morning to all of you in Apex. Today is one of the busiest days before the holiday weekend, July 4th weekend. But, you know, we're not seeing any traffic delays or backups right now, which is some good news. The best time to get out and leave is right now, because look at our routes, all of our major routes all through Raleigh, Apex, Durham, Wake Forest. All looking good this morning. We are not seeing any delays. I do have a closer look in Durham for you if you are heading out the door there. All of our major routes there, 8, 85, 40, looking good so far this morning. Again, if you're going to travel, right now is the time to do it. I do have some drive times. You are not seeing any delays so far this morning. As always, keep it tuned into our radio, 101.5 HD3.
Thanks, Michelle. A person is dead after this crash near Durham. The crash happened around 10 last night near Old Oxford and Red Mill Roads, and this is near Falls Lake. The WRAL Breaking News Tracker was there at the scene. We're working to learn more information about how the crash happened and the name of the person who was killed. The North Carolina Highway Patrol is investigating.
This morning, fire and hazmat crews are returning to the scene of a pool supply company in Clayton, where they were called last night for an emergency. When fire crews got to this scene, there was smoke coming out of the Bay State Pool Supply Suite. Sky 5 was overhead, and WRAL Breaking News Tracker was there on the ground. There were no employees inside at the time, so no one was hurt. Investigators say a pallet of pool chemicals got wet and produced chlorine gas, causing this whole incident. They say people who live nearby may notice that smell in the air, but it is not harmful.
As you're preparing for your July 4th travel today, you'll need to be aware of potential traffic backups. Millions of people are expected to be on the roads for this holiday weekend. WRAL's Kelsey Coffey is live in Raleigh this morning. And Kelsey, today and Sunday are expected to be the busiest days for drivers for the holiday.
Yes, Renee, they are. So that's why we're tracking gas prices this morning here on Gorman Street in Raleigh. So you can see that gas is $2.97 at this Exxon, and it's the same price across the street here at the BP. Now, this is above the state average that AAA released earlier this morning. AAA says today will be the busiest day for road travel ahead of the holiday. They estimate 61.6 million drivers will be on the road Road, the highest on record. They say the best time to head out the door is right now. They recommend leaving any time before 12 noon. You'll see the most traffic between 12 and 9 o'clock tonight. Now, there is some good news for drivers. Summer gas prices are the lowest they've been since 2021, according to AAA. If you want to check out the cheapest gas prices here in our area, head to WRAL.com and search Fuel Tracker. Kelsey Coffey, WRAL News, live in Raleigh.
So if you are getting out and hitting the road this week, we are keeping an eye on the price for you at the pump. New data released by AAA after 3 a.m. shows the average price in Raleigh, about $2.93. Wilmington, if you're headed down to the beach, $2.91 down there. And if mountains are your thing, Asheville's at $2.90 per gallon. Statewide gasoline prices have dropped several cents over the last week.
This morning, state officials are warning people about travel safety and the dangers of hot cars during the July 4th holiday. A news conference this morning will highlight the dangers of leaving people and pets in hot cars. Authorities will also give travel safety advice before you hit the road. Today's event is scheduled to start at 10 a.m. in Benson.
Today, the man accused in a road rage shooting that put a 5-year-old in the hospital is expected in court. Charles Stevenson Jr. was taken into custody last night. He's facing charges including assault with a deadly weapon with intent to kill and discharging a firearm into occupied property. His arrest came more than a little over 24 hours after shots were fired into a pickup truck during rush hour Monday on US 1 in Cary. A 5-year-old girl named Emma was in that truck and was hit in the leg.
And Jeff, Stevenson's arrest comes as a huge relief for Emma's family. For the first time on camera and only on WRAL, we are hearing from the girl's family about the moments after she was shot. Emma's aunt, Aubrey Allison, says she got a phone call shortly after what police called an act of road rage. Police say shots were fired at this silver pickup and a bullet passed through the 5-year-old's leg before lodging in her sippy cup. Allison says Emma has been through multiple surgeries and is now doing well. She describes the difficult moments after she found out about the shooting.
Hear the wailing from her mother last night when we went to greet her at the hospital. It just, no mother or parent wants to get that phone call.
And no child should have to go through this kind of recovery. Emma is now facing extended physical therapy after the bullet took a chunk of her leg. A GoFundMe has been set up to help cover the cost of her medical bills. You can learn more about how you can help Emma by clicking on this story on WRAL.com.
A significant breaking news update in the conflict between Israel and Hamas. Hamas is saying that it is, quote, ready and serious for a ceasefire deal, but it wants the war in Gaza to end completely here. What you're seeing here is an article talking about this from the Associated Press, accompanied by an image from the Gaza Strip being destroyed in these areas that you see in the photo. Just the other day, President Trump said Israel agreed on terms for a 60-day ceasefire in Gaza. But again, Hamas saying that it's open to the agreement so long as the war comes to a complete end. That's what the militia group is insisting. In fact, next week, Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu is slated to be in Washington to talk to leaders, and this could very well be on the table. Will we finally see the end of this conflict after tens of thousands of people, mostly Palestinians, have died? We'll be watching closely here on WRAL News.
And President Donald Trump's federal spending bill is moving one step closer to a final vote in the U.S. House. Early this morning, the House Rules Committee voted to advance the rules to debate the bill. The full House now has to vote on the rules before the floor can be open for a debate and an eventual final vote. The bill is returning to the House with changes after it was narrowly passed in the Senate. Now, there are some House Republicans who have indicated they would vote against the rule. In a Fox News interview, House Speaker Mike Johnson said the timeline on a vote is being affected by weather as lawmakers try to return to Washington. A South Carolina sheriff's deputy is dead after being shot and killed in an ambush. The Darlington County Sheriff's Office says Deputy Devin Mason and another deputy responded to a home early yesterday morning looking for 25-year-old Cameron Dennett. Dennett was wanted on several charges. The sheriff's office says Dennett shot Mason and his partner, and Dennett was eventually shot and killed. It's not clear exactly what led up to the shooting. Another person at the home was also taken into custody. The injured deputy is expected to be okay. State authorities in South Carolina are handling that investigation.
A new report reveals Raleigh Fire Department's response times are falling short of national standards. A Raleigh Fire Master Plan found only 54% of first units arrive within the recommended time frame of 4 minutes, and only 48% meet the effective response force goals. These findings were presented to Raleigh City Council last night. They cite reasons such as long travel time and lengthy alarm handling time for the issues. Greg Grayson is with North Carolina Fire Chief Consulting. He says growth is part of the reason some metrics could be slipping behind.
I think it's important for you as elected officials and policymakers and decision makers to recognize as your growth increases, so does your demand for services.
A possible solution outlined in this new plan would be more fire trucks and stations for the Raleigh Fire Department. City Manager Marshall Adams-David says Raleigh Fire continues to do an amazing job despite the findings of the report.
10 after 6 on your Wednesday. Coming up next, a fireworks blast. This shocking video of an explosion in California. What we know about the investigation into what sparked that fireball.
And no cell phone use in classrooms. A new law creates restrictions in North Carolina schools. The new educational opportunity students will also be getting in the classroom.
And our next weather maker is this cold front that'll swing across our area today. I'll show you when the rain will be heaviest and what you should expect from this front.
As you get into your car, tune to WRAL News Plus on your radio. In Raleigh on 99.3 FM. In Durham 96.5 FM. And everywhere on 101.5 HD3.
6:13, taking a look at your beach forecast. A lot of folks heading out of town today or tomorrow for the holiday weekend. The highs will be in the mid-80s to right around 90. That's exactly what you'd expect this time of year. Now, today's going to be a little wet around here, but once we get past today, it looks like we'll have just a 20 to 30% chance of storms along the coast. Just your typical, we tend to see those storms developing right along the sea breeze front. If you're at the beach, usually you can look inland and see those storms. That's the way things will likely be through the holiday weekend. Northeast wind at around 10, UV index very high, lots and lots of sunshine. Rip currents may be moderate through the weekend, so be especially careful there. So expect rip current danger to be likely, at least moderate, maybe even high at some times, especially because we have a system that's trying to develop down across Florida. We're going to talk more about that coming up. Scattered storms are possible. No need to cancel any of your weekend plans. We'll take a closer look at the holiday weekend here coming up. Michelle.
All right, thank you, Elizabeth. The roads are going to be very busy today, but they're not very busy right now. This is a live look I-440 at New Bern Avenue. This is typically a pretty busy spot during the mornings. Plenty of cars on the roads, but we are not seeing any delays so far this morning. This is a look at our live traffic map. You can see all green across the board, all of our major routes through Raleigh, Wake Forest, Garner. Looking good. Things also looking good in Durham as well. All of our major routes up there looking free and clear. And coming up in a couple of minutes, Jeff, I'll have more on the drive times for you this morning.
All right. With Friday being the holiday, folks getting a jump on their holiday. But you don't want to see this. A fireworks factory in California caught fire, creating a wild scene that included several explosions. A 1-mile evacuation order had to be put in place in the surrounding area there as fireworks went off as a result of the fire. No word yet on what caused that initial fireball.
The city of Raleigh is giving up on plans to widen part of Six Forks Road. We've been telling you about this project since it first came up in 2012. Originally, the plan was to widen Six Forks from Lynn Road down to the Beltline. Leaders shrank the footprint last year to accommodate the rising costs and stay within budget. Then the cost of the smaller projects swelled by more than 65% in the last year. Last night, City Council decided to spend the money on safety improvements and design of a multimodal bridge in the area.
Your child will soon learn about the risks of social media and ways to protect themselves. It's a new requirement for North Carolina students under a new law signed by Governor Josh Stein yesterday. The law also requires students to keep their phones off during class. Students will learn about misinformation on social media, its negative effects on mental health, and how to identify cyberbullying and human trafficking.
These are foundational skills that set the stage for building critical thinking skills later on.
The new social media literacy training starts in the 2026 school year.
Vance County officials are investigating a recent cybersecurity hack. They say the incident was isolated to the county's Department of Social Services office. At this time, DSS does not know whether any personal information was affected. County officials say if the investigation reveals that sensitive information was released or compromised, they will let people know. A new study estimates 14 million people could die by 2030 as a result of the Trump administration's move to shut down the U.S. Agency for International Development, or USAID. The study in the medical journal, The Lancet, estimates USAID's program have saved more than 90 million lives in the last 20 years. Trump administration officials have accused USAID of misspending billions of dollars. The cuts have also had impacts here in the Triangle. Groups like RTI International and FHI 360 in Durham have laid off hundreds of people after losing that funding.
Parts of western North Carolina were hit with flooding after several inches of rainfall. Pictures and video from Facebook show flash flooding from Blowing Rock Road in Boone. That area also experienced flooding from Helene last year. More than 4 inches of rain fell in the Boone area, causing this most recent flooding.
And we have proof of those rain totals right here, Elizabeth. What time period was this during the last 24 hours?
Yeah, so this is going to be, the last 12 hours or so. And you can see that 4.5 inches. They're just south of Boone. And boy, once we get rain that starts in the mountains, those mountains funnel that rain into the valleys, and it causes some real issues. So they did have some problems with some flooding there in Boone. We're not looking at 4.5 inches of rain, but we will have some heavy downpours that move through. And we do have a small risk for flooding across parts of our area. This morning early, we had some scattered showers. Most of that is over right now. We'll zoom in here between Orange and Durham counties, just a tiny little shower east of Hillsborough, and then we'll head up north. We had a little shower there in Mecklenburg County, Virginia. A little bit more rain back off to the west, but it starts to become much heavier by lunchtime. Here's our cold front. This is our next weather maker. It's going to bring us a chance of some rain, some thunderstorms as well. Some of that rain will be heavy at times starting around lunchtime into the middle of the afternoon. You can see here this next band off to our west. And then by 10 or 11, we begin to see some bands of heavy rain developing. So it's not going to wait until late afternoon. It'll be late morning through mid to late afternoon that we see some of that heavy rain. There's 3 o'clock, and at that point, a lot of it is in our eastern counties. And at 5 o'clock, most of it begins to die down. In Wendell, fireworks this evening. That's not going to be until 9 o'clock. By then, we should be pretty dry. 70% chance for rain today, though, and then a 20% chance on Thursday and Sunday. And I wouldn't worry about that if you're planning to be outside. That's such a small chance. High pressure builds in starting tomorrow and lasts through the 4th of July weekend. Most of the storms will stay southeast, but there is some potential tropical development that could happen just off of our coast. Here's a look at where we have a 40% chance of tropical development, but you can see the rain really stays clear of most of North Carolina. So here's what to know. We're going to see a stalled front. We'll see a low pressure system by Friday developing along that front with a 40% chance of tropical issues with this. Impacts to us here are 0. I wouldn't cancel any travel plans. Even our southeast beaches should most likely be okay, but keep checking back. With the chance of rain today, our highs are cooler at 85, but we are looking at hotter temperatures as we head through the holiday weekend. It does look like it'll stay mostly dry, though. Michelle?
That's good for fireworks,
Yes.
the beach, the mountains. Amazing. All right, thanks, Elizabeth. A lot of people will be heading out the door this morning to get to those holiday destinations. And if you're heading to RDU, take a look at I-40 at Aviation Parkway. Hardly anybody on these roads right now. Things looking really good. We really aren't seeing any delays so far this hour this morning. So right now is a good time to head out the door if you're going to do it. This is a look at the big map. All of our major routes through Raleigh, Garner, Apex, Durham, really looking good. I do have a closer look at Durham for you this morning. All of our major routes through there, 885, 40, 540 in that area, looking really good so far this morning. I do have some drive times. If you are heading out the door right now, we are only seeing a 1-minute delay coming in on US 1 South from Wake Forest.
We hope it stays that way. Michelle, thank you. Still ahead, affordable childcare. Governor Josh Stein is laying out his plan to solve what he calls a multi-billion-dollar crisis. We'll talk about the bipartisan reforms he's pushing for.
And best summer deals. 5 on your side's Keely Arthur will tell us what to buy in July if you want to save big and what you can skip.
And coming up on Today, after Lululemon accuses Costco of selling dupes of its product, Vicki Wynn explains why these products can be a great way for you to save money.
This What's Trending report, sponsored by Rug & Home.
Record-breaking numbers for the final season of a Netflix hit and the reunion of a world-famous pop band that Jeff loves.
Just wait for it here. Let's take a look at what's trending here on a Wednesday. First up, the final season of the hit Netflix series Squid Game ended up being a huge hit, drawing a record 60 million views in its first 3 days. It also debuted #1 on Netflix in more than 90 countries. As Squid Games comes to an end, though, there's reportedly an American remake in the works.
Oh, wouldn't that be something? So super impressive opening for season 3. That makes it the 9th most non-English watched show on Netflix. Guess who took the first 2 slots? Season 1 and season 2.
Quiz time.
Of Squid Game. Yeah. The world-famous K-pop group BTS is reuniting for a world tour after a 2-year hiatus. The South Korean group plans to start recording new music this month and will kick off the tour in 2026. BTS has been on a break for 2 years. That's because some members had to fulfill their military obligations in South Korea, but individual members have continued to release solo projects during that time.
Oh, thankfully. That's what got me through the
Right?
whole
Yeah,
time.
I know. I know.
All 7 of them have fulfilled their military duty, though, so they're in the studio. It'll come out in the spring. You ready?
But BTS is huge, and they even have some English hits as well, and really catchy tunes.
No doubt. Wrightsville Beach, meantime, celebrating its first sea turtle nest of the season. Love this. Nest was found Sunday. Town posted these pictures on social media, and you can see all the tracks in the sand there. So as we approach the 4th of July holiday, the town wants to remind everyone, stay away from any marked turtle nests that you see out there. This will give them space and help protect their chances of survival. If you see any turtle tracks in the sand, you're asked to report it right away. Still ahead for you this morning, there's a suspect headed to court. Police have arrested a man after a 5-year-old girl in Cary was shot during a road rage incident. What we can expect today and an update on that girl.
And today will be a busy travel day. Millions of people will be driving ahead of the holiday weekend. What you need to know before you get in the car.
Likely to bring some heavy downpours later today. I'll show you the timeline.